Hey, everyone, and welcome to the season finale of the Change Starts Here podcast. I'm Dustin Odom, and I just want to start by saying thank you. Thank you for showing up this season, whether it's your first episode or your 40th. I think there's a couple of you out there. Whether you've been listening in the car, in the gym, like I often do, between classes, or my favorite, while hiding in your office pretending to grade papers, you've been with us, and that matters. Now, as we wrap up another school year and another podcast season, I want to invite you into a conversation that's part fireside reflection, part locker room talk, because I've been coaching this year, and part honesty, because that's what this year has been for me, personally and professionally. This season, you may have noticed, some people have because they've reached out to me. I've lost 70 pounds, not because I joined some secret program where kale suddenly tastes like ice cream, but because I finally got serious about my health. And in a bit, I'll tell you it's even more than just my health. But I was able to fight my way off of some very tough medications this year. And along the way, or along that journey, I realized something pretty profound. The external change we want, whether it's in our classrooms, our schools, or even in our families, has to start with the internal work we're often afraid to face. You guys know I love to repeat things, so I'll say it again. The external change we want, whether it's in our classrooms, our schools, or even our families, has to start with the internal work we're often afraid to face. So today I want to walk you through some of the most powerful moments from this season, the stories that stirred something in me and hopefully in many of you. And then I want to leave you with a challenge, one personal, one professional, because I believe the summer isn't just for rest, it's for becoming. We began this season exploring the speed of trust. And I know trust can often be one of those words that we print on motivational posters and forget to actually live. But trust isn't fluffy, it's fierce, it's earned, it's felt. And when it's broken, nothing works. In those early episodes, I shared with you how trust starts with credibility, not perfection, not having all the answers, but with integrity, intent, capabilities, and results. And let me tell you, trying to lead your family while hangry from a new diet teaches you a lot about intent. Just ask my wife, Ashley. There are some speed of trust moments at the dinner table when she asked, "So are you hungry or just mean now?" Which is crazy because I don't think I've ever been considered mean, but I had a few of those off color moments this year. From those episodes, we dove into the 13 behaviors that build trust. Things like talk straight, show loyalty, right wrongs. You want to build a healthy school culture? Start with leaders who say what they mean and mean what they say, even when it's uncomfortable. One of the most moving conversations I had this year was with Tommy Smallsy. The man lives out the behaviors of trust, especially demonstrate respect and create transparency. He leads the Rock Hill schools in South Carolina with a mix of backbone and humility that's rare these days. Tommy talked about how leadership is really just relationships with accountability. He shared stories of sitting down with frustrated teachers, not to defend himself or the district, but to listen first. He taught us that leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room. It's about making sure every voice in the room feels heard. And then there's Dr. Kimberly Gardner, who I love this episode. It wasn't too long ago, so certainly go back if you haven't listened to it yet. Her episode struck a nerve in the best way. She's the first assistant superintendent of students with exceptionalities in the St. Tammany Parish. But what stood out wasn't just her really unique title, it was her conviction. Kimberly said something I'll never forget. We've got to stop seeing our students by their deficits and start seeing them by their gifts. And I think that goes for adults as well. We've got to stop seeing our adults and our students by their deficits and start seeing them by their gifts. It was more than a soundbite, I think. It was a call to action. She's reframing what it means to be exceptional, not as a label, but as a reality for every kid. And she said it with this calm courage that made me feel like we need to stand up and clap in the middle of the recording. I've never felt that way. I obviously didn't, because I was likely, given where I've been traveling all this year, I was probably at a hotel lobby and didn't want to get kicked out. But internally, when she spoke, I was on my feet. Another guest that we had was Dr. Tori Holloway, who came in with that Southern Mississippi warmth, but didn't pull punches. It's probably my favorite quality about him. He loves fiercely, but he also is not scared to stand for courage. He spoke about the challenges of leading in a district with layers of needs and the beauty of doing it with unapologetic belief in kids. Tori reminded us that vision isn't just a poster on a wall. It's a daily grind. He's confronting generational poverty with generational hope. And as someone who's been both underestimated and called to lead, he brought a challenge that stayed with me. What legacy are we leaving in the lives of the students we don't yet understand? That's questions one to sit with. Dean Fail, who we just had on, is the president of the York County Regional Chamber, showed us how education isn't just a school issue. It's a community issue. He talked about how business leaders are hungry to support schools if we'll open the door. He had this great line that we don't just need workforce-ready students, we need world-ready humans. Again, we don't need just workforce-ready students, we need world-ready humans. Dean's message was simple. Stop trying to do this work alone. Schools, parents, businesses, we all have skin in this game. And when we align around shared values, students win. If you're currently not working deeply with your local chamber or community groups, take this summer and start connecting with them and get everybody in this game. Now, mid-season, we pivoted to one of my favorite pieces of content at Franklin Covey, the 4 Central Roles of Leadership. If you missed those monologues, go back and binge them like your favorite Netflix show. I kid, but they're short and something that I think if you're wanting to grow as a leader, it's great content to remind yourself of. In those episodes, we talk about inspiring trust, not demanding it, creating vision that's clear, compelling, and most importantly, owned by everyone, executing strategy with discipline, not chaos, coaching potential, because leadership is not about creating followers. It's about growing other leaders. I'm on the repeat mode today. Coaching potential, because leadership is not about creating followers. It's about growing other leaders. These roles aren't theoretical. They're practical. One principal wrote me after one of these episodes and said, I finally understood why my team wasn't following my strategy, because it wasn't ours. That's the shift. Ownership isn't delegated. It's built through trust and vision. And speaking of strategy, one of the research episodes that blew my mind was we talked about how great leaders manage time. And this is one that I still have to, it's probably why it sticks with me so much. I have to work on the most. And the real takeaway, the best leaders don't manage time. They manage energy. They protect the mornings for vision and creative work. They reserve afternoons for people. They say no to good things so they can say yes to the right things. And maybe most importantly, they schedule recovery. Yes, that means rest. Many of you are feeling it. My wife, who just walked out the door to the end of the year for her school district, and we just had some tornadoes here in the St. Louis area, and life is pretty hectic and crazy. I also know no matter where you are, the last week of school feels like the fourth quarter of a tied basketball game with no timeouts and everyone cramping. You're exhausted, emotional, proud, maybe a little fried. I promise I get it. My oldest son, we just walked to school for our last day of elementary school, and he's graduating elementary school this month. We've been doing a lot of reflecting and one-on-one time. And I found myself getting surprisingly emotional over one of those Google slideshows with bad transitions and slightly off-tempo music. But you know what? The moment reminded me, these milestones matter. The work we do matters. So here's the challenge I want to leave you. They're very simple. Personally, what's one area of your life you've ignored because the work was too important? Is it your health, your faith, your marriage, your joy? This summer, don't just recharge, rebuild. Pick one thing and go after it. Last summer for me, it was living out my faith in a way that really centered me every day, where it just reminds me that life is short. All I'm ever promised is today. So, how do I show up today, even when I'm most frustrated, most burned out, most distracted? The other one that's new, if you've known me for a long time, when I started at Franklin Covey 13 years ago, I'd be the guy known for bow ties and bright colors. And I still love those things. But um, as I was going on this journey going through this weight loss journey, I just felt convicted to rewrite my mission statement and then to think about how I could remind myself daily of how to live it. And so I went from wearing colors to only wearing black every day since December 17th, which is kind of crazy. I just never, I know this sounds like, probably pretty superficial, but for me, every day it was like putting on armor that reminded me that others are first and I need to show up in a way that inspires and changes hopefully how they think and love and serve. And so this whole health journey of losing 70 pounds was first and foremost for me a faith journey and something of living out my mission before it was ever about weight loss. So I just want to encourage you this summer, pick one thing and go after it and watch the effects that it has. Professionally, I'd love for you to look at one trust behavior or leadership role that you want to improve. So go back to those podcasts, choose one, study it, practice it, and take risk. If we each level up just one dimension of our leadership, our schools will be different next fall. Finally, remember that change doesn't start in big moments. It starts in the quiet ones, in the conversations behind closed doors, in decisions you make on like the couch that you guys see me on is a couch that I do a lot of my quiet time study on. And the email you choose not to send, and the apology you choose to make, and the belief you choose to speak. So rest well this summer, reflect deeply, and come back ready, not perfect, not fixed, not superhuman, but ready to change. Because change starts here, and it starts with you. I'll see you next season.